So it's official. Since our last meeting, Ralph Angel done pissed me off. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 7. Like I said, since our last visit here, Ralph Angel has pissed me off. Ralph Angel's ass is country, he's spoiled, and he's simple. And I've been kind of excusing him and kind of letting him ride. But on this here episode, Ralph Angel got right up underneath my goddamn skin. And let's talk about it. So, last we seen the siblings, Aunt Val was guarding the door and saying nobody was leaving until they straightened out this mess. Ralph Angel done started all this shit. He done bust out with the letter saying that the daddy done left the farm to him and all that, and now let's get it on. So, I'm like, okay, so where do we go? Aunt Val ends up basically running through the house and trying to put out all the fires. She's talking to Nova. Nova starts to tell her experience with the father. And the father, he was quite an interesting character as we start to see this unfold. Nova said that she had this whole little situation where he was always asking her, when you going to give me some grandbabies? She always felt like he was judging her because, of course, you know, Nova is a free spirit, and Nova likes girls and she likes boys. Okay? So she always felt as though he was judging her. And with this latest situation, she said, you know, first she sat around, he used to bug her about this baby thing all the time. And old people have a way of doing that when they consider you kind of gay. They do this little thing. You know, they do that thing. When you're going to do the right thing, they do that. And she said that he basically kept asking her that. Then Charlie had Micah. Then Ralph Angel turned around and had Blue. And he eventually just stopped asking. He stopped asking. And then with this coming out, she feels as though he has passed on, still judging her, and basically has punished her for not living the way that he wanted her to live. And she also threw out there that everything has always been about Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel, Ralph Angel, Ralph Angel. So I said, okay, that was interesting. And I kept watching. Next, we actually run into a situation where Remy was trying to vouch for this one farmer, and Charlie's like, yeah, all that's nice, but at the end of the day, I want paperwork done properly on each individual farmer. I feel better if we do the business the way the business is supposed to be done. And she is correct. She is correct. I mean, she keeps bending and kissing ass and trying to do things the old school way and all of that. But when it comes down to the money part of it, I'm with Charlie shit. Cash on sight will keep down a motherfucking fight, okay? So let's have all the paperwork. He's steadily with this. I'm vouching for him. They're in the middle of a damn family crisis. She tells Darla, I need you to go down to the office and take care of some paperwork. You know what papers it is. I need that done ASAP. It's an emergency. Ralph Angel's sitting at the table telling her she ain't going. Choose me, you know, she's family too, and y'all just want her to leave so y'all could just gang up on me, and, you know, because the world's against Ralph Angel. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him like, you old pretty motherfucker, you about to get on my good nerves. So he gets Darla in this whole situation again now, where he's telling her, she ain't going. You're not going. Darla ends up telling him, hey, I lost my job because I walked off my job and I came to do what you needed me to do to clean your cane. and I lost my job. Now I got another job. I only took the job with Charlie to help you with these bills and stuff here. And I would never put you in the position that you're putting me in. And you can see this as a betrayal, but I see it as love. I'm not losing another job and fucking with my sobriety and my well being playing this game with you. So see how you want to see it. We'll deal with it later. I'm going on down here and do what I got to do. She got in the car and took her ass on like she was supposed to. Like she was supposed to. And good old Ralph Angel, the next day, when she come back to get Blue to take Blue swimming, this bastard wouldn't even let her in the house. She told him, I understand you being upset and all of that, and I can deal with that. I can deal with you being upset. That's fine. But I'm here to take Blue swimming. He hollered back there and told Blue to put on his swimming trunks and shut the motherfucking door in her face. He wouldn't even let her in the house. Hey, that Ralph Angel is a piece of work. He's a piece of work. And again, let's just keep on listening, keep on following me here, and you're going to see why he is the piece of work he is, because he has been taught that the sun rises and sets on his ass, and he's wrong. And the person that taught him that was wrong. But let's move on. So, at a point, so we got to go back another day, back to the house. Micah actually comes in. Blue is falling asleep. They say, Hollywood said Blue knows something's going on. He just doesn't know what, but he knows something's not right. But he fell asleep, and they were taking him to put him in the bed at Aunt Vi's house. Micah tells Charlie, I'm going to, because at this point, all the siblings were in different rooms. I'm going to give you space so you can actually do this and handle this with your brothers and sisters. I'm going to go head on out and go to my dad's house. And he walked over. He was during leaving. He walked over and he hugged his mother. And I said, you could see the bond with them is strengthening and they're getting back to normal. They're not at odds with each other anymore, but he knows his place. I was real happy with that. I said, come on, Micah. Charlie had her little bout with Aunt Vi. She tells Aunt Vi, it's just ridiculous that I'm always the one who is always, she's okay. Nobody got need to worry about her. She's okay. Because I have things. I've always had things. And she said, that when I came down here during the summers, you were the one that always made it feel like a home. That didn't come from anywhere else. It came from Aunt Vi. You made it feel like a home. You're the one that made me feel a part, other than coming here and I was just feeling like his other daughter. And I said, interesting. And then she had a little things to say about, it was always about Ralph Angel. Everything was about Ralph Angel. He's the baby. Everything was about Ralph Angel. I said, okay. And she said, sometime I want somebody to fight for me as well. I was like, wow. Okay. Then again, these unsaid things that go on in families. I just laughed. I said, oh wow. Okay. So then they go back, they're having a little thing. And they got past all of the, feeling as though he had held the information out for a reason and all that. And he assured them he wasn't. And Darla had assured them, and so did Aunt Vi. He wasn't trying to be sneaky. He wasn't trying to be sideways. That this was just how it played out. And Charlie was telling him, what the thing is, you're not ready. You're not ready to take on and do this by yourself. And this is what we're trying to tell you. So it is what it is. That's fine what that letter is. But know that Daddy never filed that letter with his lawyer because he was waiting for you to get yourself together. By all means, the land is his to do whatever it was that he wanted to do with it. But he was waiting for you to get yourself together to be able to do all the things that he expects you to do, for you to be the man that he says that you can be, and all of that. That's why he never filed it with the lawyer. He was still waiting for you to get yourself together. Honey, Ralph Angel gave, all you see is a failure. All you see is the things I did wrong. And you got up and left. And he was calling for you, and you just didn't come. And they're saying, and you're the one that knew that he was working himself to death as a janitor and taking care of your baby, and you said nothing, and why was that? Oh, if I could have did it for him, I would have did it for him. Yeah, okay, Ralph Angel. All right, whatever. So let's stop pointing the finger. Let's stop placing blame. Anyway, so they go through all that. Nova ends up coming out of the room because she goes through the box herself and she pulls up some stuff and she decides to get some things off her chest. And you could tell that Aunt Vi wanted her to shut up. But, Nova not that easy. Okay? Because I think the blunt of what was going on kind of fell on Nova at some point down there. And she kind of was made to see. Charlie came every summer, but Nova was stuck there, so she was basically there to raise Ralph Angel, is what actually ended up happening. And Nova and Aunt Vi were talking, and she told her story, about how she felt and that whole thing. And Nova said, everything was always about Ralph Angel. She come up out of there, she wanted her to shut up. Nova wouldn't shut up. So I said everything was about Ralph Angel. She said everything was about Ralph Angel so far to the point that he never even married their mother until she got pregnant with that boy, and they knew it was going to be a boy, and then he married her. He had already screwed Charlie's mother and had Charlie, had come back down south and screwed their mother and had Nova. And then when she finally got pregnant with a boy, then she was good enough to marry, and he married her. He never even committed to her until she got pregnant with that boy. And from that point forward, it was always just about that boy. He had even gone so far as, and Ralph Angel didn't want to see it, but he said it out of his own mouth. His dad told him, he said, my dad died when I was 10 years old. He told me our mother was dead. But he told me that I had the next best thing, which was a big sister. Exactly. Again, everything was about Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel is everybody's goddamn responsibility. Threw that shit right on Nova. Their mother died and Nova became his mother figure. Not Vi, but Nova. I said, ain't that some shit? And Nova was pissed, and she kind of went on out of there. So it seems to me, Charlie was an outsider, Nova was closest to the mother, and Ralph Angel was the daddy's pick. Now, if y'all seen it different than that, tell it to me in them comments, but this is what I got out of it. I said, ain't this some shit here? And it all made sense, and yeah, I can see why they would be pissed off. Yeah, I can see why they would be pissed off because, yes, Ralph Angel is trying to get himself together, but all in all, it seems as though he's been a fuck up until this point. And then you look at his personality, he is very spoiled. He is very simple, and he's country as hell, like I said. Anyway, moving on. So Nova ended up doing some research in the next days to come and finds out about Aunt Vi's story. She comes back together with Aunt Vi, talks to Aunt Vi and says, so you weren't even going to tell us that at some point half of the farm belonged to you. What's up with that, Aunt Vi? And Aunt Vi went to tell him the story about half of it was hers, half of it was her brother's. And her brother and her fell out when she was 17 years old because she chose a man that her brother didn't approve of. She ended up moving in with the man, falling in love with the man, marrying the man, and her and her brother went to a point where they weren't even speaking. Okay? When the mother died, I guess the father had already died, then the mother died, and her and the father, their father, Nova and them's father, weren't even speaking. Didn't even say two words to each other during the mother's funeral. Somewhere in there, this was when he was messing around with Charlie's mother. Nova hadn't got here yet, just Charlie. Or Charlie may not have been there, but he was in California with Charlie's mama. He finds it out through the grapevine that the boyfriend that he couldn't stand was doing Vi in. He had become, abusive physically and mentally. Vi had been keeping it to herself. She didn't know how her brother found out, but he did. Brought his ass from California, come back, took her husband fishing. And when they came back from the fishing trip, the husband packed his shit and just moved out. I don't know whatever happened on that fishing trip. All she knows is there was no more ass whoopings and there was no more husband. She divorced the husband. In the midst of divorcing him, she had to buy him out so she could keep the house, that big house that she actually lives in. That's how she got the house. She sold her portion of the land to their father, which made him 100% the owner of the land. And that's how she was able to pay to buy out her husband and keep her house. Now, this brings me to the other part about the brother. And she was happy with that. She was cool. She's like, you know what? I don't care. I didn't care about the land. The land ain't nothing. But again, money is the root of all evil, right? The land, she got rid of her part of the inheritance, but she got back her brother. And her brother were back on good terms. But if her brother was the man that she and everybody is expecting Charlie and Nova to be when it comes to Ralph Angel, she would still have her 50% of that goddamn land, wouldn't she? Because he obviously had the money to be able to give her for her part of the inheritance. If he really loved her and he really cherished her and the relationship the way that they think that Ralph Angel is supposed to still be supported by Charlie and Nova, he would have just given her the money to save her house and she would still have had 50% of the land. Am I wrong? The father was a petty motherfucker too, if you ask me, but whatever. I see a lot of the traits from the father, my way or the highway. It's all about me. I love you, but it really is all about me. I see a lot of that same shit in Ralph Angel. But okay, whatever. Whatever. Ralph Angel wants you to do whatever it is he needs done, but don't tell me what I should be doing. Don't tell me nothing about how I want to do things. But you can't get my money and not listen to what I have to say. That's just the way of the world. Anyway, moving on. And it's not their responsibility, buddy. Anyway, moving on. Remy got his ass in a goddamn bind fooling around with Charlie when Charlie wasn't in the mood. Charlie, you remember she said she was going to do the guy and give him the exclusive about the divorce and all that, and she kept her word. Remy come in the office, and I'm not going to say everything he said was wrong. Just wasn't the right time, and he was kind of bold to be saying it to her, and it did not go over well. He said to her, he was telling her a story about how her father always bragged about her accomplishments. Then he used to always say that she was thoughtful and she was smart. And he said he's starting to realize that what her father meant by she was thoughtful is that she was calculating. And then he said, as I'm starting to see that you are very calculating, thoughtful, and you're smart, I'm wondering about a woman who would use her divorce as a part of her business plan. What else is it that you're actually being thoughtful or calculating about? And I'm thinking, me? Would it even be me that you're doing that with? And baby, Charlie looked at him and told him, you need to get up and you need to walk out. And I mean, you need to get up and walk out now. I was like, oh, Remy, you done went too far. You done really went too far, honey. You got your dick up underneath you and you really think that you could sit in her face and talk shit. She sent his ass on out of there. I was like, wow, okay, he about to mess up. So again, what he said wasn't totally wrong. But who the fuck are you? Who are you to try to call me a calculated bitch? And why shouldn't I be calculated? He acts just like he ain't got no baggage. That's that old country man shit. I said, okay, whatever. All right, whatever. Because when I noticed about Remy, we like Remy, and I do like Remy and Charlie together. But Remy thinks that Charlie's supposed to dance to his music too. So, and she, that's not her. She's not that girl. But whatever. I don't want her to be. I don't want her to be that docile at all. You know, she's not really so docile, and she already got herself into a situation with Davis. So, I don't want her to give up all her power to Remy. Not at all. I'm like, whoa, this shit is giving me a damn headache. I said, okay. All right. So, um, then Charlie ends up running into an issue with Davis. He's trying to be all nice to her, bought her a housewarming gift, and he's with the bullshit, telling her, oh, it's an ice cream maker. Because I know I didn't want you to put it on to our registry when we were married, and I felt bad about that I kind of did that. I kind of stripped that away from you, so I'd have bought you that. And she's like, yeah, okay. And then she comes and she tells him, yeah, I'm actually giving an exclusive to Esquire magazine, and I did mention the divorce. Well, he caught an attitude right away and asked her, how is it that you get to flip the script? Well, excuse me, Davis, but the reason why she gets to flip the script is because you were fucking screwing hookers. That's why, you dumb bastard. Now get out of here. He got an attitude when took his ass on out there, but to hell with him. He's another one. Ridiculous. So that's that. And with her, it ended up making her wheels start spinning. She started thinking about what Remy said and what her dad had actually said about her. And it's so funny because then we end up being at the end of uh, the end of the program, and Nova's like, "Fuck this shit. It is what it is. I'm done fighting. I'm done arguing. Now she gonna go do what it is she want." And I was so goddamn happy. That bitch was packing a bag. I said, "What's she doing?" And then she called, and cause she had gotten a call from Dr. Dubois, and he was trying to get her to come to Atlanta. Honey, she packed her bag and told him, "I'm on my way." I said, "Girl, go on and get it. Go on and get it. It's time to do you, and damn that farm and all that bullshit, and damn all of what happened before. Time to do Nova." So I'm like, loving that. Charlie was in the midst of doing a piece of photos, do a photo shoot, and there was a question posed to her, and the question was, what would your dad feel at this point about your accomplishments and all of this and that and the other? And at that point, they zoomed in on her, and she said, "You asked me." She was going to start babbling about something, and just wasn't even what the question was. And then it hit her. Everything that had been said, all the shit that took place on Vi's house, and all the things that led up to this moment. And she said, "You know what? You asked me about my father, and what would my father think?" And quite honestly, I don't know. I was like, "Girl, you just said a mouthful, baby." And by this time, I was completely wiped out. And only response I had to the whole show was this, honey. And it went off. I was like, oh my gosh. Ava, you got me, honey. This episode was something else. It really put all of the characters, like all the character, every character I felt in this episode was just standing out there with their drawers off, and you had to look at them. You had to look at them, and I was just perplexed. Y'all tell me what y'all thought about down there in them comments. I can't wait to see next week's and see where we actually go from here. But I feel like every character has been exposed at this point, and it's going to be really interesting to see where we're going. This is good shit. So, see you guys next week. All right.